Hello everybody and welcome. I am the Shy Hat and this is HackerFrogs. Alright, so everybody, this is HackerFrogs FreeHack today, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working through a module in Hack the Box. So this is going to be a Hack the Box starting point module. We've been working through a lot of different machines on Hack the Box's starting point over the last few weeks. And today we're going to be covering this machine over here called Oopsie. It's a very easy box. Well, very easy according to Hack the Box. The standards are very high over at Hack the Box. And we're going to be learning about the following vulnerabilities and or technologies. We're going to be talking about PHP. We're going to be talking about custom applications. We're going to be taking a look at Apache, the server Apache, reconnaissance. We're going to take a look at website structure discovery, and we're going to look at cookie manipulation, SUID exploitation, SUID exploitation, authentication bypass, clear text credentials, arbitrary file upload, insecure direct object reference, otherwise known as IDOR, and we're also going to be looking at path hijacking. So these are all the different topics we're going to be covering in today's module. So let us begin. So everybody, to begin with, what you need to do if you want to join in with today's workshop, with today's follow along, is you want to go to the following link that I've just linked in chat, and you want to log on to your Hack the Box account. And then from there, what you want to do is you want to activate your VPN. First, download the VPN and then your VPN key, and then access it like we have over here with using the OpenVPN program. So after that, you'll see this kind of output, and at that point, you'll know that you are connected. Well, actually, you'll know that you're connected when you see that this button over here is green, and then you'll know that you are connected. Okay, so everybody, let's start. So the first thing we want to do on this box after it has spun up, and I have started the machine ahead of time so that I don't have to wait for it to initialize and everybody else doesn't have to wait for it to initialize. And what we're going to do is we're going to run an nmap scan. So that's going to be nmap and then -p- for scanning all ports, -vv for scanning very verbosely, which returns output immediately as opposed to when the scan finishes, -t4 for 4 threads, which means that it'll run very fast but not too fast. And then we need to paste in the IP address over here. And with that, we're going to be able to run our nmap command. So immediately we discover that there are 2 ports open on this machine. There is port 80 TCP and port 22 TCP. So those 2 ports are associated with HTTP, that is a web server, and port 22 is associated with SSH. So by default, of course, these ports could be running other services aside from the default ones, but it's not very common to encounter that. All right, so everybody, after that, what we can do is we can visit the web page that is associated with this server. Okay, so this is the IP address over here. Of course, it's going to be a different IP address for you, so please copy your own IP address. And what you want to do is you want to go over to a new tab inside of your Kali machine. And I'm assuming, so for this walkthrough, I'm assuming that everybody has access to a Kali Linux attacking machine or something equivalent. So what you want to do is you want to paste in the IP address. You want to put in HTTP:// ahead of it, just so we know that we're accessing the web server, the web page on this IP address. So over here we see Megacore Automotive. All right, so this is some sort of automotive website. And if we scroll down, we see that there's a lot of different sections on this website. One thing we can do when we want to enumerate a new web page is to take a look at the HTTP source. And you can do that by using the Control-U keyboard shortcut. Otherwise, you could right-click on it, right-click on the web page, and then click on View Page Source to view the page source. So immediately when we take a look at this, we see that there are some directories that are being referenced over here. Let me make the text bigger for everybody so you can see. All right, so we see that there are some different directories in here that are being referenced, such as /CSS and /themes. So these are some directories we could manually enumerate by navigating to them. But along with this other code in here, there's also this reference to this directory right here called /cdn-cgi. So this is another directory we could potentially look at, as well as this /js directory over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to navigate to this directory over here, /cdn-cgi. So over here, we're going to manually navigate to /cdn-cgi. Okay, and it says you don't have permission to access this resource. Okay, so we know that this page exists, all right, and we know that we don't have access to it. But we could look for other directories inside of this directory over here. So let's take a little bit of a further look at the code in here. So there's JS, there's scripts. So we could try looking inside the scripts directory as well. Okay, but at the bottom over here is actually what we're looking for. So we've got inside of the CDN-CGI directory, there's a login directory over here, as well as a script.js file. So let's go over to CDN-CGI/login. Okay, so at this point, we've encountered this over here, which is called the login page. So can I make this bigger? Yeah, I can make this bigger. So this is a basic login portal. You can supply a username and password, but unfortunately, we don't have a username or a password. We could try to log in as some default credentials, maybe as admin or as root or as administrator. But there's this other link over here called login as guest. So we might as well try that, because that would enable us to log into the application without needing a username password combination. So click login as guest, and then we have entered the admin portion of the website. So this is a big no-no. You shouldn't allow guest login to your admin portion of your website over here. That's no good. All right, so we see here repair management system and some fancy cars, Megacorp Automotive, and we see here there's a menu, account, branding, clients, uploads. So it says we're logged in as guest. So we want to try, so here it says upload. So we're going to assume that there's some sort of upload functionality on this web page, which would be very good for us since we're trying to break into this web server. So we could go over to account, and it says here repair management system, access ID, name and email. Okay, so we have access ID as 2233, the name is guest, and the email is guest@megacorp.com. All right, so an interesting thing about this particular page is that if you take a look at the URL parameters over here, it says accounts and ID equals 2. So what would happen if we were to iterate through these numbers? So if we were to try ID equals 1, we would see that this is the information for the admin user for the system. So the access ID is 42322, and the name is admin, and this is admin@megacorp.com. So what this is an example of an indirect object reference vulnerability, otherwise known as an IDOR vulnerability. This is something that you'll see in web apps, and you'll see that the object is being referenced through this number in the URL parameter. So we could try 3. So there's nothing for ID 3. There's probably nothing for ID 4. Oh, there is something for ID 4. Okay, but what we're interested in is the ID that is associated with the parameter number 1 over here. So this is admin. Okay, so another thing we could do is we could take a look at our cookies. So every time we log into a web application, it's usually going to assign you a cookie, and the cookie is going to give you your user session. So over here, inside of my web browser, I can go to More Tools, and then I can click on Web Developer Tools. So after I do that, this section over here appears, and what I want to do is I want to go over to the storage tab over here. So storage is this tab right here. You click on that, and we see that we have a couple of cookies associated with, can I make this bigger? I can make it bigger, okay. So we have a couple of cookies associated with this web page. We see one here that says role and the value equals guest, and then there's the user cookie and the ID over here. So what we could do, since we know the ID access number of the admin user, and we know the name that we want, so what we want to do is change the role cookie over here, and we double click on that, and we can change this value to admin. As well, we need to go over to the user cookie over here and change the name of this cookie to the access ID that is associated with admin, which is 34322. So enter that. So this is so the vulnerability being displayed over here is insecure cookies or insecure sessions or insecure session tokens. So the very fact that we can, so cookies are something that that the user can manipulate. So it's something that you definitely want to, the value of valid user tokens is something you want to keep secret from your users. Otherwise, if it were something that was predictable, then bad people could manipulate these cookies in order to do nefarious things. So, which is what we've done right here. Because we were able to modify these cookies, we can now access the website as the admin user. So how do we do this? So we can simply close our developer tools and then reload this page, and then we should have access as the admin user. Okay, so over here, we're going to click on the menu. Oh, it seems to be frozen. Reload the page. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go to the root of this web page, and it says logged in as guest. Okay, hold on. I must have done something wrong. So I'm going to modify this again. So go down to More Tools, Web Developer Tools, and then Storage. So role is admin, and user ID is 34322. Okay, and then I'm going to reload the page. All right, so now it still says logged in as guest, but let's go over to the uploads section. And now it says, now we're able to access the uploads directory. So previously, if you're logged in as a guest, you wouldn't be able to access this portion of the web page. So we see here that we've got brand names and we can upload a file. All right, so if we can upload a file, and what we should do is we should check for an upload directory on this web app. So over here, let's try navigating to an uploads directory. So it says here, forbidden, you don't have permission to access this resource. So this is actually confirmation that this directory exists. So the upload directory exists, but it's forbidden. We don't have permission to see the entire directory, the entire contents of the directory. So this is okay. We've confirmed that the uploads directory exists because it gives us the forbidden message. So we can go back and then we can upload something. So seeing as this is a PHP, this website is running with the PHP engine because the name of this web page over here is admin.php. What we can do is we could upload a malicious PHP file, and the malicious PHP file that I'm thinking of is a reverse shell file. So what we're going to do is we're going to download this reverse shell file to our Kali attacking machine. So I'm going to get out of here for just a second, and then I'm going to move into a temporary directory, and then I'm going to download the file with wget. So this is a reverse shell PHP file. We download that, and then what we want to do is we want to modify the file. So first of all, what we need to do before we open up this PHP file to modify it is we need to get our networking information. So we can get our networking information with the ifconfig file, so with the ifconfig command. And what we want to look for is the ton0 interface. So the ton0 interface is the interface where we're connected to HackTheBox, their network. So this is our current IP address on HackTheBox. So we want to copy this information, and then we're going to modify the reverse shell file. So it's going to be nano, and it's what's that file called again? Reverse shell, php reverse shell.php. Okay, I need to take a sip of water, just a second. Everybody, if you have any comments or any questions about what we're doing inside of this walkthrough, please let us know by typing in the chat, and we'll try to get to your comments and questions as soon as we can. All right, so it's nano, and it's php reverse shell.php. Okay, so inside of this PHP reverse shell, there's a bunch of code. Okay, so that seems as if this is not the file I was looking for. All right, so that's okay. I'm going to delete this file, and then I'm going to find the right file on the internet. So hold on, I'm going to copy. So this is the I'm leaving the link to the reverse shell file in the chat, just in case anybody wants to take a look at it. So okay, so here, so this is the reverse shell file we're looking for. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on raw over here, and this is going to take us to the raw version of the file. So I'm going to copy this link, and then I'm going to use that link, and I'll provide that link in the chat for everybody. It's slightly different than the previous link, and we're going to download the file. So it's going to be wget and then paste in the file. And then we have this file. We need to copy our IP address again. So ifconfig is going to get you the IP address for ton0, and copy that. Now we're going to nano that file. And this is this file has a couple of variables that we need to modify. So first of all, we need to modify this variable over here, which is IP. So we're going to get rid of the IP in here and paste in our own IP. And then we need to modify the port over here as well. So port 1234 is probably, it's not a super good choice. We probably want to supply a port that is less likely to be blocked by firewalls, and that would be something like 443, which is associated with the HTTPS protocol, which is secure web pages. It's less likely to be blocked by firewalls on the web server. So to save this out from Nano, Control X, save modified buffer yes, and just press enter for the file name to write. And now we've modified our file. From here, we could try to upload the file to the web page. So here on the admin panel, and the content equals uploads, what we can do is we can click on the browse button, and then I stored the file in the temp directory. So I'm going to go up to the top and then go down to temp, and it's php reverse shell.php. Okay, so select the file, click open, and then click on upload. So it says the file php reverse shell.php has been uploaded. All right, so we've uploaded the malicious PHP file up to the web server. What we need to do now is we need to prepare a netcat listener to catch the shell when it is when we access it from the web server. So we need to go over to another tab, and what we're going to do is we're going to use netcat with the following flags: NLVP, N for no DNS lookup, L for listening, V for verbose, and P for to specify a port. So we supply 443. So the netcat listener is listening for an incoming connection from the web server, and we can trigger that connection by accessing the php reverse shell.php file that we uploaded up to the web server. So let's do that now. So in the web app over here, what we need to do is we need to go over to the uploads directory, and then the name of the file was php-reverse-shell.php. So when we navigate to this file, the PHP code in that file is going to execute. And it's a good sign if we see that the web page hangs like this. That means we can go over to our reverse shell listener, and we see that it says connected to this IP address from unknown. So unknown is the web server, and connect to this is our IP address. So it says that we have this is a generic Linux distribution over here, and we are the www data user. All right, so we're in. We're in. Okay, so we need to put on our Hollywood hacker voice. We're in. Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, so everybody, what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of poking around. So first of all, we're going to see if we have any sudo permissions. So no TTY present and no ask pass program specified. Interesting, okay? So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to upgrade our shell a little bit by using Python. So we're going to ask if there's Python installed. Okay, so maybe Python 3. We have Python 3. So we're going to use a Python 3 command. So this one is import pty as in sudo terminal, and we're going to pty.spawn. That's a function which lets us spawn a sudo terminal, and it's going to be bin bash. So this Python command is going to let us upgrade the quality of our shell just a little bit. Okay, And now we're going to ask if we have any sudo. So we don't have a password for the current user, so we're not going to be able to get our sudo permissions over here. All right, but that's fine. Let's poke around. Let's poke around this directory a little bit. So we're in the top level directory. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to poke around the web app directory. So the web app is going to be in the /var/www/html directory. And we see that in here is a bunch of different files, as well as some other directories over here. So index.php, JS, themes, uploads. All right, so let's try looking in the cdn CGI directory. Okay, and then there's a login directory over here. Okay, so we've got some PHP files over here. There's admin.php, there's db.php, and there's index.php, and there's a script.js file as well. So the file that we haven't looked at is the db file, db.php. So we can try to read that file and see if there's anything interesting in there. So inside of this db.php file is some database information. And in this file, we see that there is a username and a password. So there's this username here, Robert, and there's a password, Megacorp user in LeetSpeak. So what we could do is we could try elevating our privileges by logging in through SSH as the Robert user. So let's try that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to another tab, and we're going to SSH as Robert at the IP address. And let me grab the IP address one more time. Okay, so we're going to try to SSH connect as the Robert user. And I'm going to say yes to continue connecting, and it's going to ask for the password. So the password is over here. We can copy it. And then on the other tab, we can paste in the password. Okay, and now we have an actual shell. We have an SSH shell now. So we're going to ask, I'm going to clear this off, and we're in Robert's home directory. And what's in here? So there is the user.txt file over here. What we're going to do is we're going to read this file because we're going to need this file for later when we're answering questions. Okay, so this is the flag value for user.txt. I'm going to paste it into one of my notes, into my notes. And we're going to be using it later. So let me find my place. Okay. So the first thing we want to do, because we have the password, is we're going to try to see if we can determine if this Robert user has any sudo permissions. So we have our password for Robert. Let me grab that again. It was this. And it says, sorry, user Robert may not run sudo on Oopsie. Okay, so the next thing that I like to do when I achieve a foothold on a Linux system is I try to look for suid ID binaries, set user ID binaries. And the way you do that is you run the following command. There's a bit of a delay on this terminal. Okay, so this command is going to look for suid binaries, and those are binaries that run as root, and they could potentially be used as privilege escalation methods. Okay, so let's take a look at the different binaries that are part of this list. So I don't see anything unusual over here. Oh, okay. I do see something unusual. So there's this one binary called bug tracker over here that's set as a suid binary. So what we can do is we could go to GTFO bins, and we could see if there's any if there are any privilege escalation techniques associated with this binary over here. So we're going to go to gtfobins.io, and we're going to search for this binary over here called bug tracker. So bug tracker is not in GTFO bins, so that indicates to me that this is some sort of custom binary, and which means that we need to check it out manually. So let's go over to take a look at where this binary is. Right over here, copy that, and we're going to take a look at the permissions on this file. That is not the correct syntax, but it worked anyways, strangely enough. Okay, so this is a suid set user ID binary, which is going to run as root because the owner of the file is root. So bug tracker, this file right here, this binary, always runs as the root user, which means it could be used as a method of privilege escalation. So let's try running the binary and see what happens. So we run this, and it says EV bug tracker, provide bug ID. Okay, so let's try one. And it says here, when loading library and firmware, it seems to have crashed. Okay, so what it seems like what this is this binary lets you read some files. So we could run this again and provide another integer, okay, number 2. But what we could try is we could try feeding this a non-integer input. So just anything will do. Okay, so this is not expected, and we can run it again. And when we try to run some sort of string, it says cat root reports test. Well, I inputted this test. It says no such file or directory. So the word cat in the error message over here indicates to me that this bug tracker binary might be using the cat binary as part of its process as well. It seems that the files that it's reading are located in the root reports directory right here. So what we could do is we could try to confirm this, because we know that there's a root.txt file inside of the root directory. We could try moving up one directory over here with .. and then try to read root.txt. Okay, so we were able to read root.txt, which indicates that the bug tracker binary is using cat, the cat binary. So I'm going to copy this this root.txt file. Actually, maybe I won't. What I want to illustrate to everybody is how we could how we can escalate our privileges using the cat binary. So because the this suid_id binary is running the cat binary, we could potentially modify, or we could modify the we could make our own malicious cat binary in order to elevate our privileges. So I'm going to demonstrate how. So I'm going to move into the temporary directory in this system, just because the temporary directory is a directory that we have write permissions to, so we can create files in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a malicious cat binary. So actually, it's not even going to be a binary. It's going to be a command. So we're going to create our malicious cat binary by doing this. So we're going to echo, and it's going to be bin bash. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to spawn a shell by using the cat, our own cat file over here. So we're creating a file called cat, and then we're going to make that file executable with the chmod command. Chmod plus x cat. So we have this malicious file over here called cat, and its directories and its contents are bin bash. So it would be invoking bin bash to open up a shell. What we need to do is we need to create, do some path hijacking. And path hijacking is when you modify the path leading to valid binary files or valid commands on the system. So let me demonstrate. So we could echo our path with this command right here, echo variable path. And we see that our path for our current session over here is user local sbin, and then user local bin, user sbin, user bin, sbin bin, user games. So these are the directories where the system looks for binaries when you run certain commands, and it's going to look for them in order. It's going to be this directory, and then this directory, and then this directory, and then this one. What we can do is we can inject our own directory into the path in order to trick the system into using the cat command that is not located in user bin, where it usually is, but in the temp directory where our malicious cat file is. So we can do that by using the following command. It's going to be export path equals /tmp : $path. So after we've done that, when we echo our path variable again, we see that the tmp directory, where we have our malicious cat file, is the first directory that appears in the path. So in theory, that means that when we run the bug tracker program, and when we try to read a file, and it tries to use the cat binary, it's going to look in the temp directory first, where we have our malicious cat file, and that's going to spawn us a root shell. So let's demonstrate. So it's so I think it was user bin bug tracker. So we're going to run this. We're going to provide a bug ID of 1, and then it spawns a shell. So when it spawns the shell, I ask, who am I? And I'm root. Okay, so everybody, we've got a new feature on the stream where we can play this video when we have compromised a machine to the point where we are root. All right, I hope everybody had fun watching that. Okay, so we've effectively finished this module over here. So an interesting side effect of spawning this root shell is that now that our path includes this, this fraudulent cat binary over here, we can't use the cat command anymore, except that we can just delete this file. So rmcat, and then we can navigate to the root directory. And we see there is root.txt. So we can read that by using the cat command. And now we're done. Okay, so before we finish off this module, I'm going to copy this over to my notes so I can paste it in later. We need to answer all of the questions associated with the module. So we can go back to the HackerFrogs webpage, and we're going to answer the questions. So task 1 is, what kind of tool can intercept web traffic? Okay, so the tool that can intercept web traffic is called a proxy. So submit the answer, and that is done. Task number 2, what is the path to the directory on the web server that returns a login page? So if you remember, the path that we found was /cdncgi/login /login. That was the path. We're going to submit that as the answer. And it looks like the system is hanging a little bit. Okay, so let's try submitting that again without the slash. Okay, that was the answer. Task 3, what can be modified in Firefox to get access to the upload page? So what we needed to modify in order to get access to the upload page is we need to modify our cookie. So the cookie value, submit that. All right, next question. What is the access ID of the admin user? So if you remember, the access ID of the admin user was 34322. Next question is, on uploading a file, what directory does that file appear in on the server? That would be the uploads directory. Question number 6. What is the file that contains the password that is shared with the Robert user? So this refers to the db.php file where we found the Robert user's credentials. So that is going to be db.php. And we're going to submit that as the answer. Okay, so we're going to submit that again. What executable is run with the option -group bug tracker to identify all files owned by the bug tracker group? Okay, so this is something we didn't do, but the Robert user was actually part of the bug tracker group. And this command right here is something we could have done to point us towards the bug tracker binary, which we use to exploit the system. So the answer over here is find. We can use find-group bug tracker to find all the files in the bug tracker group. So submit that as the answer. Task 8, regardless of which user starts running the bug tracker executable, what user privileges will it use to run? So here, the bug tracker binary is a UID binary, a set user ID binary, so it is run as the root user. Okay? So what does SUID stand for? It is set user ID. Okay, maybe it doesn't mean set user ID. Let me ask ChatGPT. So what does this stand for in Linux? Set user ID. Okay, so that should be the answer. Maybe I capitalized something incorrectly. Let me go back. Maybe like this. Oh, okay. Maybe it stands for set owner user ID. Okay, that was interesting. Okay, so what is the name of the executable being called in an insecure manner? So the executable being called in an insecure manner is not the bug tracker executable, but rather the cat binary, the cat executable, because it was being called by the bug tracker binary, and we were able to manipulate the bug tracker SUID binary by modifying the path and doing some path hijacking. So that is the answer. It was the cat binary. Now we have to submit the user flag and the root flag. All right, so I'm going to copy my user flag. And I'm going to copy my root flag. And with that, we are finished. Okay, so it says Oopsie has been pwned. All right, so thank you very much. And we are done. All right, so everybody, we're going to be switching gears, and we're going to be moving on to another activity. And this activity is going to be a little bit more relaxed than our Hack the Box walkthrough. We're going to be doing a module from the Hack the Box Academy, and that is going to be over on this page. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start some music because, that's much better. Okay, so this is going to be a more relaxed portion of the stream. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be working through the file transfers module over here. So if anybody has, if you have an account over at Hack the Box Academy, you can access this. Let me turn down the music a little bit. It's a bit loud. Okay, so if anybody wants to join in along with us as we learn about file transfers, you can do so at the following link that I have provided in chat. All right, so if you want to unlock this this module, you'll need 10 cubes. So that's the currency we use over at Hack the Box Academy. Everybody starts with about 50 cubes. And then, or it might be 30 cubes, but this level of tier 0 module is going to cost 10 cubes. And notes by Nisha, we're in. We're in. Nice to see you, Notes by Nisha. Have you been here all this time? Did you compromise the Oopsie machine along with us? But I'm glad to see you here. We're going to be moving on into this HTB Academy content over here. I hope you have time to join us. This is going to be some very educational stuff over here. We're going to be talking about mostly Windows techniques on how to move files around on Windows machines. So I hope you can join us. Oh, I need to change my my overlays as well. Okay, so workshop, I need to change this over to file transfers. And I need to move this around. And I need to change this over here. Change this to HackerFrogs Academy. This is not the music I was expecting, but I'll take it. Okay, so from here, it says that that this module should take about 3 hours. We're going to try to move through the material as fast as we can, while still retaining some comprehension. So what you need to do is you need to click on the Start or Continue button. And we're going to move through the different methods. So we're going to speed through the materials over here a bit. We're basically just going to... So my workstation over here, I think everybody has access to about 2 hours of access every day, or is it every other day? But if you have access to your workstation, you can start the instance over here with this button. This portion of the stream is going to be it's not going to be as structured. But this is going to spin up a virtual machine that you can use while you're studying. As well, I highly suggest that you keep some notes inside of some sort of note-taking app. I use Notion over here, and I keep my notes organized by topic. So in this case, I've got my data transfer, and then I've got my Windows and my Linux over here. So I think most of the topics over here deal with Windows. So I'm going to keep this in mind. So these are the different programs we're using for data transfer: Python, certutil, bitsadmin, FineString. I'm going to be keeping notes as I encounter them inside the module. Okay, so this is talking about some different tools, the WMIC tool and the bitsadmin tool. So this is just an overview over here. We're going to be moving into the specific tools in some later sections. But over here they're talking about living off the land binaries on Windows and Linux. So living off the land is a concept in offensive security, which means that you use tools that already exist on a system in order to avoid detection and to not leave a trail while you're working on them. So living off the land means using whatever programs are already on the system that you break into, basically. So there are different common living off the land binaries on Windows and Linux, of course. They're pretty much entirely different, aside from Python, which might be common to both Windows and Linux. So we've got access to our machine, MS02, and you need to download the file from our Pwnbox machine, okay? So here we're talking about PowerShell base64 encode and decode. So this is the first method we're going to take a look at. It's going to be PowerShell, and it's PowerShell in order to upload and download files, and we're going to be using base64 encoding in order to mask whatever it is we're doing. So over here we have an SSH key, an an ID RSA file. And what we're doing over here is we're going to read this file, and we're going to base64W. Base64W I haven't encountered before. Okay, so let's take a look. So we can copy this content and paste it into a Windows PowerShell terminal and use some PowerShell functions to decode it. Ah, this over here, all right. That's a hefty file. Okay, so first of all, let's go over to our workstation. Oh, it's still spinning up. So this has been spinning up for a little while. I'm going to try reloading the page, and maybe it will give us so it says 1 out of 1 spawns left. Okay, let's try starting this thing up again. So the MD5 hash functions as a compact digital fingerprint of a file, meaning a file should have the same MD5 cache everywhere. Let's attempt to transfer as a sample SSH key. It can be anything else from our own pwn box to the Windows target. Okay, so it gives us these instructions right here to send this ID RSA file over here. Okay, so we have our terminal over here, and it looks like we have 2 hours of life over here. That's great. So let's click on the interact button, and that's going to spawn the hack the box pwn box over here in its own browser tab, which is what we like. All right, so let's go over to our terminal. We're going to open one up with this one right here, bash. Okay, so was there any particular directory where we needed to go to access the ID RSA file? Okay, so it looks like we have to go to the HTB directory. Let's try that. Does not exist. Okay, so are we supposed to be following along with this, with what's going on in these windows over here, or are we just supposed to read? So cat ID RSA base 64W 0 echo. So I'm not quite sure what this command is doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask ChatGPT what it thinks of this. So copy that, and then go to what is this command doing? Okay, so cat ID RSA, so it's reading the IDSR file, which is private SSH key, and this part of the command is what I didn't quite understand. So this pipes the contents of IDRSA into base64, encoding the file in base64 format. The -W 0 option ensures that the output is on a single line without line breaks. Okay, and then the echo, this appends new line to the end of the output for readability. Okay, so That's interesting. It doesn't necessarily... I don't see where the file is transferred, but maybe that is explained later. We can copy this content and paste it. Oh, paste it! Paste it into a Windows PowerShell terminal and use some PowerShell functions to decode it. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so we're not necessarily using a program to transfer. There's no file transfer happening. There's what is happening here is we're copying and pasting the contents. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that. All right, so where is the ID RSA file? But it doesn't need to be the ISO, the RSA file. It could be any old file. So let's create a file. So we're going to echo, this is my secret file, and we're going to redirect that into secret.txt. Oh, permission denied, okay. So we're going to put that in the temp directory. Okay, so now it's in the temp directory. Let's ourselves navigate to the temp directory. So let's do the command that was mentioned over here. Okay, so it's this command right here, but we're going to substitute out ID. Oh, I don't copy like that. We're going to substitute out ID RSA, and we're going to sub in secrets.txt. So over here, we're going to paste it in. Maybe we cannot paste it in. We need to go over to the clipboard. So sometimes on these virtual machines, you're going to need to access the clipboard in an unusual manner. So there might be an extra tab or a little button over here where the clipboard resides, and you're going to have to manually copy and paste from this clipboard over here, as opposed to just doing it regularly, which is kind of a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. Okay, so copy this, and then we can paste it into our terminal like this. Of course, ID RSA goes away and is replaced by secret.txt. So this is the base 64 version of what we want to send. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to open up. Does Hack the Box have? So Hack the Box wants us to use PowerShell. So we can open up PowerShell. Oh, this doesn't look too great. Let me reload this. Okay, so we can open up PowerShell by clicking on this icon over here. So we've got our PowerShell, and we're going to paste in the base 64, and then we're going to take a look at the PowerShell command. And PowerShell command is so IL file write all bytes. Windows transfer method, okay. So this isn't necessarily going to Okay, so let me copy this. Okay, copy this, and then over to our PowerShell. So the interesting thing here is that So we need to move stuff around from our around on our clipboard again. So that's a big command. Okay, so the thing here is that we're not dealing with the Windows file system over here, so we need to modify this. So we're going to create ID RSA, but it's going to be in the /tmp directory. Okay, so what this should do is it should convert this base64 encoded string into a file called ID RSA. So let's run the file, run this command, and then we go into the temp directory, and we see that ID RSA exists in here. Okay, so let's cat that out. Okay, so this works. Awesome, awesome. All right, so we learned how to copy something into base64 and then establish the same file by using PowerShell. All right. Okay, so this method over here, what we're going to do is we're going to take note of it. So this is Windows over here, and we're using PowerShell. So I'm going to add another. So I'm going to add another node in here. And let's take a look. What is the command for new? Click to add below. Okay, so I'm gonna put a page over here. And this page is going to be called PowerShell. Okay, and after this we can start writing. So we can use base64 encoding and decoding to copy and paste the contents of files and convert them between systems with the following commands. So, for example, if we're doing it from Linux, and we're assuming this is the attacker machine, and we're going to put this in a code block, and then we're going to copy this command over here. And we're going to modify this so that it's bash. The above command can sub out the ID RSA file or any file we desire, and the commands output can be fed into the next command on the Windows victim host. Okay, so next we're going to do from Windows, victim machine or target machine. And then we're going to supply our code. This is going to be PowerShell. And it's this command right here. It's a long command. Okay, copy that. The portion at the start of the command is used to specify how to save the file, how to write the file. Okay, so that's an interesting way to transfer information. Okay, so let's continue. So finally, we can confirm if the file was transferred successfully using the get file hash commandlet, which does the same thing that MD5sum does. Okay, so the notes here, while this method is convenient, it's not always possible to use. A Windows command line utility has a maximum string length of, okay. So also, web shell may error if you attempt to send extremely large strings. So this over here, this is dependent on the size of the file. Okay, so let's copy this note and we can paste it into our own notes. Okay, so we should probably name this something. So this section we're going to call copy paste method. Okay, cool. All right, so next we're going to cover another file transfer method. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so PowerShell web downloads. So most companies allow HTTP and HTTPS outbound traffic, okay? So this is using web downloads. All right, so let's start this section. Still, defenders can use web filtering solutions to prevent access to specific website categories, block the download of certain file types, will only allow a list of whitelisted domains on more restricted networks. PowerShell offers many file transfer options, and any version of PowerShell, the system.net.web client class, can be used to download a file over HTTP, HTTPS, or FTP. The following table describes web client methods for this. So open read. Okay, so all this stuff over here. So what is the method? So PowerShell download file method. So for example, we could do file download. So file download, okay, that's the default. And we could use any of the methods over here. Let's put this in the PowerShell code block. Okay, so we can copy these commands over here. So it's going to be new object, net web client download file. So that's PowerShell. Or we could use this following command right here. So the difference between these two these commands are download file or download file async. So what's the difference between these two? Let's take a look. You know what? This doesn't necessarily explain what the difference is between download file and download file async. Let's ask ChatGPT. So let me confirm that those are the two methods, download file async and download file. Okay, let's ask the question. It's thinking. Okay, this errored out. It was obviously too powerful a question, so let's ask it again. Okay, execution blocking. Download file blocks, while download file async does not. Concurrency. Download file async allows for concurrent operations making suitable for GUI applications or scenarios where the script should remain responsive. So essentially, there's no Okay, so what is the significance of execution blocking between these two? Oh, okay. So this means that we can't use the terminal while the file is downloading, and non-blocking means that we can still use the terminal while the file is downloading. So I guess asynchronous is probably the one we want to use most of the time, especially if we're transferring large files. Okay, let me note that. Okay, awesome. All right, so this is file download, and I guess this is file less download. So what is fileless download? Let's learn together. So as we previously discussed, fileless attacks work by using some of the operating system functions to download the file payload and execute it directly. PowerShell can be used to perform fileless attacks. Instead of downloading a PowerShell script to disk, we can run it directly in memory using the invoke expression command or the alias IEX. Okay, so this is something I've learned before, and this is what I prefer to do to execute malicious binaries or scripts on Windows systems, because it means that the file is not actually saved to disk, which means there's less of a chance that any sort of antivirus is going to be able to detect and delete it. Okay, so let's copy over this syntax over here. And we'll make a note of what fileless download means. Fileless download means that the payload is executed in memory without the need for the file to be saved written to the disk of the target server. And I think there was one more command included here as well. Let's take a look. So it says IEX also accepts pipeline input, okay. So I guess the pipeline input is this right here. Okay, copy that. The second command listed here is IEX used as pipeline input. Okay. All right, what's next? So next is PowerShell invoke web request. From PowerShell 3.0 onwards, the invoke web request commandlet is also available, but is noticeably slower at downloading files. You can use the aliases IWR, curl, wget instead of invoke web request full name. I wonder what invoke web request, how it's different from these other commands. So I'm going to copy this over. That's how you spell it, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, so what I really want to know here is, what is the advantage of using invoke web request over other download methods inside of PowerShell? Let's ask ChatGPT. So what is the advantage? Okay, it says rich output session management, Oh, okay. It makes it useful for interacting with web applications that require authentication or stateful sessions. So, can directly download and save files using the out file parameter, simplifying the process. Interesting. Okay, so I guess I don't really see from an offensive security point of view, I don't really see too much of a benefit, but I could be wrong. But nice to know that it's an extra option out there anyways. All right, so let's move on. So common errors with PowerShell. There may be cases when the Internet Explorer first launch configuration has not been completed, which prevents the download. Okay, so this is an important thing to do. So this can be bypassed using the parameter use basic parsing. I don't like this. I don't like this this song. Hold on. That's a little better. Okay, so this can be, all right, so let me include this section in my own notes over here. So okay. And we want the solution to this, of course. Awesome. Okay, let's move on. So another error in PowerShell downloads is related to the SSL TSL secure channel if the certificate is not trusted. We can bypass that error with the following command. So this is the command right here. Okay, so let me include this in the notes. And this is the command we use. All right, so next we're talking about SMB downloads. So server message block that runs on TCP 445 is common in enterprise networks. Okay, we can use SMB to download files from our pwn box easily. We need to create an SMB server in our pwn box with smbserver.py from Impacket, and then use the copy move PowerShell copy item or any other tool that allows connection to SMB. All right, so creating an SMB server. Let me take a look and see if I already have notes on this. Hold on, I need to cough a bit. Okay, I hope everybody can hear me now. Let me check my mic. Mic is miking. Okay. Creating the SMB server. Let me check if I have, so we're talking about SMB. So SMB is not here. Okay, which means we need to create this. So I'm going to create a page, and I'm going to call this SMB. Okay. Creating an SMB server with in-packet tools. Can use the in-packet tool called, what is it called? It's called smbserver.py. To create an SMB server on our attacking machine and connect it to the victim machine. Okay, so creating the SMB server, we're going to run this file right here. Let me copy this. And then I will supply some bash scripting. Depending on where your in-packet scripts are, we may need to adjust this command. Okay, the next step is copy a file from the SMB server. Okay, that's the next step. And that is this command over here. This is, oh, okay. So this is no longer bash, this is now command prompt. Oh, let's just say it's PowerShell. I guess this would need to be whatever share name, and then file name, and this would be attacker IP. Okay. Next. So new versions of Windows block unauthenticated guest access, and as we can see in the following command, cannot access this shared further because of the organization's security policies. To transfer files in this scenario, you can set a username and password using our in-packet SMB server and mount the SMB server on our Windows target machine. Okay, how do we do that? Okay, so the error looks like this. let me take a look. So, to transfer files in this scenario, okay. So this is going to be, this is creating an SMB server with a username and password. This is the section. And the command is, okay, so this is from our attacking machine. Copy this command, and then we're going to put this in our notes. In this case, this is bash. And let's make it obvious that this is the attacking machine. Okay, so what's next? So we have to mount the SMB server with username and password. And this is from the Windows machine. Okay, so this is the net use command. And I guess we can replace this with attacker IP and share with share name. User test. Okay. All right. This makes sense. Next. Note, you can also mount the SMB server if you receive an error when you use the copy file name IP. Okay, so that was SMB. We're going to be moving on to FTP downloads now. So FTP. I've never really dealt too much with setting up my own FTP server, but this is going to be interesting. Okay, so the SMB section is done. So let's move out of our SMB section. So I didn't know that there were this many different methods of transferring files using Windows, but it looks like there's a lot of stuff to learn. Okay, next. We're going to create a new page, and we're going to call this one FTP. So another way to transfer files is using the FTP, File Transfer Protocol, which uses port TCP21 and TCP20. We can use the FTP client or PowerShell net.web client to download files from the FTP server. We can configure an FTP server on our attack host using the Python 3 pyftpdlib module. It can be installed with the following command. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is install the module. Installing the pyftpd, what is it called? Lib. Okay, and this is going to be bash. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for Let's look for this. Okay. So that's how we install it, and then we can specify port 21 because by default PyFTPD lib uses port 2121. Anonymous authentication is enabled by default if we don't set a user and password. Okay, so setting up the Python 3 FTP server. This doesn't need to be bolded, does it? Okay, let's get the command. So it's going to be this right here. After we've installed the module, of course. So another FTPs, after the FTP server is set up, we can perform file transfers using the pre-installed FTP client from Windows or PowerShell net.web client. So transferring files from an FTP server using PowerShell. So it is this command right here. And this is going to be PowerShell, of course. Okay, when we get a shell on a remote machine, we may not have an interactive shell. If that's the case, we can create an FTP command to download a file. First, we need to create a file containing the commands we want to execute, then use the FTP client to use that file to download the file. Okay, so this is going to be what kind of so this is going to be, this is not necessarily PowerShell. So is there something for just command prompt? I don't see anything for it. Okay. Well, we can just keep on calling this. Is this just called shell? Okay, let's keep on. Alright, so next we're talking about upload operations. How much is here? So we need to do a bunch of exercises over here, of course. Okay, so the first section is Windows file transfer methods, then Linux file transfer methods, transferring files with code, miscellaneous file transfer methods, protected child transfers, caching files over HTTPS, and living off the land, then 2 sections on detection and evading detection. Okay. So the Windows section is going to be coming to an end fairly soon. So now we're talking about upload operations. So there are also situations such as password cracking, analysis, exfiltration, where we must upload files from our target machine to our attack host. We can use the same methods we used for download operation, but now for uploads. Let's see how we can accomplish uploading files in various ways. So the reverse operation, we've got our PowerShell base64 encode and decode. Okay, so let's go back to our PowerShell section. And in the upload section, this is also what do we call this? Copy / paste / base64 transfer method. Okay, so like the download method, we can use this method to transfer file contents via the clipboard. And this is going to be PowerShell. I guess we can copy the entirety of these contents and just paste it in. Then on our attacker Linux machine, and this is bash. I guess we can get rid of this as well. Okay, next. PowerShell web uploads. So PowerShell doesn't have built-in function for upload operations, but we can use PowerShell web uploads. Let's make a section for this. Okay, so first we need to use the upload server. Okay. So here, so this is on the Linux attacker machine. We're going to be installing the upload server module. And then we need to start up the module, Python 3 upload server. Okay. So now we can use PowerShell scripts upload 1.ps1, which uses the invoke press method to perform the upload operations. The script accepts two parameters, file and URI, the server URL where we want to upload the file. Okay, so we need to download the file first, and then we need to run this in memory with this command, and then execute. You need to execute the file in memory with the IEX command, and then we need to run the script. Okay, so let's copy all this. To perform the download operation, you will have to download a script, a PowerShell script, then execute it in memory with the following commands. And here we've got our PowerShell. Okay. Wow, this is a long section. I think we're only going to have time to do this this one section before we call it a stream, but let's carry on. PowerShell base64 web upload. Okay, so another way to use PowerShell is to use the invoke web request or invoke REST method together with netcat. We can use netcat to listen in on a port we specify and send the file as a post request. Finally, we copy the output using the base64 decode function to convert the base64 string into a file. Okay, so this is PowerShell. And what is the gist of this? Oh, let's just copy this all. Okay, so we catch the base64 data with netcat and use the base64 application with the decode option to convert the string into a file. So this is from the attacker machine over here. This is bash. Okay, then over here, all right, so I'm getting pretty tired. Okay, so we've got SMB uploads followed by all right, everybody, I think I'm going to tap out. But thank you very much for everybody who joined me in doing this this module over here. It is maybe studying like this is not the best method for exciting stream content, but it certainly is a way for me to get some studying done. Unfortunately, it's not very fun to watch. I'll have to admit. But we might do something similar, as we might do study sessions where everybody's studying their own thing, not necessarily watching me comment and on educational modules. But thank you very much to everybody who watched today, and I really appreciate every one of you. And we'll be back on Monday, where we're going to be doing HackerFrogs After School. And we're going to be doing the final Python installment over there. We're going to be learning about modules and packages. And we're probably going to do an OSINT session after HackerFrogs After School as well. So stay tuned for that. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we will see you next time.